Any diet that allows you to eat loads of protein, like a big juicy steak, chicken, fats like the yolk from the eggs, the butter, the avocado, and cheese is totally unhealthy. You should avoid it at all costs. It's gonna raise your cholesterol. It's gonna give you heart disease. It may lead to a heart attack and shorten your lifespan. And I got the proof. Just do a quick Google search and look at the food pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, it says you should only eat steak and eggs and things like that, maybe 1, maybe 2 times in the week. That's kind of stretching it. But if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, that's where all the healthy stuff is. The grains, the bread, the pastas, even like the Lucky Charms cereal is way healthier than a juicy steak. Now, obviously, I'm just being pretty funny and I'm just kidding you, okay? Now, where is this coming from, okay? I want to share that, where that was coming from, but there's 2 things I want to do before I share that. I want to give you a little bit of an update of my alternate day fasting. If you watched my video yesterday, I hit an all-time low of 189.4. I think it's 189.4 or 0.6, I can't remember. And if you're watching this video today, well, for me, it's actually Saturday, okay? So I woke up, I gained about 1 pound, so I'm like 190.4, which was expected because I had close to 1900 calories. The food that I ate was a lot of volume, so it definitely made me gain a little bit of weight, but I'm not worried about that because today is going to be my fast day. Now, if you've been watching my videos, I've been doing this alternate day fasting where I'm eating like only 500 calories on my so-called fast day. So I'm eating like 6 eggs with butter. And then the next day I eat normally. I'll eat like my 2 meals a day, keto carnivore, 1800 calories, okay? But today, I always have a tradition on Saturday where I do a full fast. So I won't eat anything today and I'll go in tomorrow and I bet you I'll probably drop about 3 pounds. That's been the average when I do a weekend fast. Okay, so with that out of the way, there's the update. Second thing, if you're just watching me and you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Tim Ernst. I'm an intermittent keto fasting coach who has personally lost 70 pounds in 7 months, all the way back in 2018. I may maintain that weight for a good couple years, and then 2020 happened. I fell off the rails and I basically was unhealthy for a good 4 years, from 2020 to 2024. So this year in 2025, I decided that's it. I had enough. I drew a line in the sand and I said, no more. I'm going to get back into my best shape. So I started in January at 233 pounds and now I'm at 189. So about 44 pounds I have lost in just 10 weeks. Okay. And also I'm a keto fasting coach where I've coached hundreds of men from all over the world to do the very same thing that I've achieved. Typically, I help them lose 40 pounds in 16 weeks using my Keto Shed coaching program. If you want more info on that, I'll just go ahead and put a link in the description and it'll actually take you to another video that kind of explains a little bit more in detail as to how I could help you and we could go from there. So, okay, so with those things out of the way, where is this coming from that eating a bunch of meat and fat is so unhealthy? Because a lot of people do have a fat phobia. Well, this is coming from a comment that I got this morning that basically says, if you keep eating like that, you're only going to live about 10 years. And I want to clarify this. Now, to this person's credit, I did explain, okay, what my position is on keto carnivore. And once he saw that comment, he 100% agreed. So I had to explain a little bit of what my position actually is. So it's credit to him. If he's watching this, he knows who he is. So let's talk about this. Is the keto diet carnivore really, really bad for you? I mean, think about it. If you've ever done it, you've probably lost a lot of weight. Maybe you reversed type 2 diabetes. Maybe you're in such great health. Maybe you had sleep apnea, high blood pressure, and all of a sudden all that stuff went away when you started eating meat and fat. Sounds like that's a pretty healthy diet. So here's my position on both of these diets, okay? If you watch all of my videos, I never really talk about, is it healthy long term? Can you do this long term, okay? I've done it for about a year straight, never had any complications. However, when you get to your weight loss goal and you're feeling amazing, does it kind of make sense to continue on a keto carnivore diet? I mean, you've already been healthy, you've lost the weight. So why would you want to like continue doing that? Okay. So here's what I'm going to say about that. I look at keto and carnivore as a tool, okay? And that's basically what I explained to the person in the comments. It is a tool in your toolbox that you can use when you are someone who is very overweight, you're obese, maybe you're dealing with like high blood pressure, maybe you've got high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, all those things. You want to use keto and carnivore as a tool, okay? Now, this is going to be relative to you, okay? So I used to say like, hey, you know, if you're like over 230, 250 and above as a man, you probably need to pull back on the carbs and sugars because you really need to lose weight. Well, that's not true for everybody because it all depends on your height, how tall you are, how old you are, okay? That's all going to play a factor. So if you're someone who's like 5'7", 200 pounds may be really obese for you, but if you got someone who's 6'3", 6'2", and they're at 200 pounds, they're going to be super, super lean. So it's all relative based on your height, your age, and those kind of factors, okay? So with that being said, okay, if you realize you're tired, you're low on energy, maybe you have high blood pressure, okay, heart disease, what else? High cholesterol, you deal with sleep apnea, and you're just really struggling with your weight and you got a gut. The biggest indicator to tell you that you're insulin resistant, you don't even need a doctor for this. You know what you have to do? Look down. If you got a gut, you are insulin resistant. You need to pull back on the carbs and sugars, okay? Now again, this is a tool. You want to pull back on carbs and sugars as a tool. Now, I know there's people that'll probably disagree with me and say, oh, I've been doing carnivore and keto for like 2-3 years. That is absolutely amazing, okay? If you can get away with doing that, go for it. Honestly, I think you can go long term, and I'll tell you why. The body needs protein and fat. The body doesn't need carbohydrates. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. There's only essential proteins and fats that your body needs for hormone production, for cells, and all that kind of stuff. So don't be misled. Your body does not need carbohydrates. And in the absence of carbohydrates, you know what happens? Your body will naturally produce glucose, glucogenesis, okay? It'll naturally do it. And there's only two parts of the body that really need glucose. It's your brain and your eyes. That's totally it. So you could get away with doing carnivore keto for years, no complication. But is it realistic for you to do that long term? You got to remember, there's 365 days in the year. There's times where there's birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, vacations. It's totally okay to go off keto and carnivore for a little bit. In fact, you actually might get better results if you cheat once in a while. In fact, that's what I include in my Keto Shed coaching program, is that if I notice you're plateauing, then you are a good candidate to actually have a refeed, a cheat meal. And let me tell you why you need a cheat meal and a refeed meal if you've plateaued. There's a couple hormones that get suppressed when you've been dieting for a long time. Those hormones are called leptin and ghrelin. Well, sometimes those get suppressed when you're doing a diet. So the only way to reset those hormones is to actually have some type of cheat meal sugar, okay? And really all these hormones do is they send a signal from your brain to your gut telling you whether you're hungry or full. Sometimes that gets out of whack, okay? Does that make sense? So I wanted to take this time to make this video to just explain. I want to be very clear on where my position is, because you got to remember, for 5 years or 4 years last year, I wasn't really doing a keto type diet, okay? And I want you to think about this too. What do most Americans eat? What does their diet typically look like? It's all the processed crap. They're probably not eating enough meat and fat. That was me for 4 years. When I did my transformation in 2018, I kept it off for 2 years. But then 2020 happened, I fell off the wagon. And that's proof that what I was doing worked. And what I wasn't doing worked, okay? I wasn't eating enough protein. I wasn't eating enough healthy fats. And what happened? I gained a lot of weight. I was eating all the processed stuff, the carbs and sugars. Okay, so now I've gone back to what I know works, which is pulling back on the carbs and sugars. I've already lost 44 pounds. I mean, that is the proof. I've been able to achieve this, no problem. And it's very, very healthy, okay? I think people are starting to catch on with the whole food pyramid thing. It's a total scam. And let's just be real, okay? Let's be real. Doctors and the pharmaceutical company work together. Doctors are pretty much give meds out, and it's to compensate for the poor diet that people are on. Get the food right, get the diet right, you won't need these type of medications, okay? They're kind of in it together. So I think people are starting to wake up to this fact, and hopefully you are as well. So I just wanted to share this with you because, you know, sometimes I get frustrated because people make these claims like, oh, it's a horrible diet, you should stay away from it. Elimination diets don't work. Yes, they do. They do work. Pull back on certain carbs and sugars, that's considered an elimination diet, such as keto and carnivore. They work. But again, it's a tool in your toolbox. Use it when you need it, okay? A perfect example, you go on vacation, maybe you gain 10 pounds. Well, now you've got the tools to lose the 10 pounds again. Oh, let me just cut back on processed stuff, carbs and sugar, and then I'll drop those 10 pounds, okay? So keep that in mind. And that's it. So, you know, if you really liked this video, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and always hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, stay tuned. I'm still headed toward that goal of 185 by Wednesday because I'll be 49, and I know we're going to make it. All right. See you soon.